Hello, and welcome to the discussion video on teaching as a profession. This is our first topic for your course, Edu 55, the teaching profession. First, let us look at the lesson objectives. At the end of this lesson, you are expected to have 90% proficiency in identifying the elements of teaching as a profession, as well as in discussing the historical development of teaching as a profession in the Philippines. Before we go further into the discussion, let us first define one word that we will always be encountering not only in this lesson but in the whole course as well. What does the word professional mean? According to Corpus in 2018, a professional is an individual possessing skills, competencies, or expertise and conforms to a technical and ethical standard of a profession. How would this meaning apply to teachers as being professionals? This is what we will be trying to discover in this whole course. After reflecting on the meaning of the word professional, I want you to look at this slide and pause this video. Here is what you will do. Please get a piece of paper and first, try to fill out the graphic organizer on the left of the screen to identify the elements of a profession. After that, proceed with arranging the events on the graphic organizer on the right of the screen to make a chronological list of key events in the professionalization of teaching in the Philippines. Again, please pause this video and do this activity. This will make your learning more intentional and systematic. Trust me. Awesome! Now, let us check whether your schema and your own analysis have succeeded in making you hypothesize about the content of the lesson for today. This lesson outline will show you that we have two main topics for this video. First, the elements of teaching as a profession, and second, the historical development of teaching as a profession. Before we officially start the lesson, I want you to know that I used some pictures and examples here from my personal experiences in the teaching profession, so that you could have a more concrete understanding of the lesson through practical examples. In line with this, please do not share or repost any part of this presentation without my permission. With that out of the way, let's start with the elements of teaching as a profession. In general, by the meaning of the word professional, as stated by Corpus in 2018, we can say that the elements of a profession are competence and a code of ethics. However, competence should be elaborated. Hence, there are 6 specific elements of teaching as a profession, namely, initial professional education, accreditation, licensing, professional development, professional societies, and code of ethics. Let's explore them one by one. The first element of teaching as a profession is initial professional education. We all know that to become a professional, you have to complete an academic program in your chosen field. It is important to note that being a professional starts with long and rigorous years of preparation, and this is only the beginning because a professional is expected to learn endlessly. The pictures presented here are pictures I took of my students who are doing this element of teaching as a profession. The same as you all right now actually, studying and doing their best to complete their initial professional education. The second element of teaching as a profession is accreditation. Accreditation is when academic programs are approved by regulatory bodies like the Commission on Higher Education in the Philippines to ensure the quality and the competence of graduates. Our whole university system, Cavite State University, and even our campus, Cavite State University Carmona Campus, and even your program, Bachelor of Secondary Education specializing in English, undergoes accreditation to ensure that all necessary services and equipment are in top shape to produce top quality graduates. As seen in these pictures, We should be proud of our university because it does not only participate in accreditation activities, our university also gathers awards in terms of being one of the top performing state universities for quality assurance. The third element of teaching as a profession is licensing. Licensing is mandatory, not voluntary, and it is administered by a government authority. In the Philippines, our licensing authority is the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC. Licensing is a huge part of professionalization. Licensure examinations are taken by teachers as a way to evaluate whether the graduates are ready for teaching, specifically in terms of their understanding of general education and professional education concepts, as well as the specialization topics for degrees requiring it. The fourth element of teaching as a profession is professional development, which is an ongoing professional education that maintains or improves professionals' knowledge and skills after they begin professional practice. In the Philippines, professional development is mandated by law. This is Republic Act 10912, also known as the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. It is important to remember that continuing professional development is crucial to the development of lifelong learning professionals. Lifelong learning is a character which is necessary for professionals in the 21st century since knowledge and skills are rapidly requiring to be learned, unlearned, and relearned. Continuing professional development is the continuation of initial professional education. The pictures attached here are pictures of conferences that I have attended as a professional trying to specialize in curriculum studies. Aside from attending these conferences, I have also been a part of the organization that conducted these, which we will discuss further and would be best suited as an example in the fifth element of teaching as a profession, professional societies. In professional societies, it is important for you all to understand as early as now that professionals are a part of a community of like-minded individuals who put their professional standards above individual self-interest. In example, as Bachelor of Secondary Education specializing in English students and teachers in the future, you can join organizations related to strengthening your professional education knowledge, skills, and network, like the Philippine Association for Teacher Education or PAFTE, as well as those which strengthen your English knowledge, skills, and network, like the International English Language Teachers Association or IELTA, and the Philippine Association for Language Teaching Incorporated or the PALT. In addition, remember that professional societies put dedication to the public interest and commitment to moral and ethical values of each profession. They also help in defining certification criteria, manage certification programs, establish accreditation standards, and define a code of ethics and disciplinary actions for violations of that code. In this slide, I included pictures of myself and some professional societies where I am a part of. Each professional society has their own standards, rules, and benefits of joining. Aside from that, I get to meet people who are like-minded, and we get to attend and organize events specifically related to our chosen field. The sixth and last one on the list is the Code of Ethics, which states what professionals should do. Each profession has a code of ethics to ensure that its practitioners behave responsibly. Professionals can be ejected from their professional societies or lose their licenses to practice for violating the code of ethics. For us teachers, our profession is governed by the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers, specifically here in the Philippines. Violation of the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers is one of the grounds for the revocation of the professional teacher's certificate of registration as well as a suspension from the practice of teaching. If you remember our course orientation, you might have noticed that in this course, there is a specific schedule of our time allotted for the discussion of the Code of Ethics for professional teachers. This just goes to show how important the Code of Ethics is as an element of the teaching profession. Now that we have completed discussing the elements of teaching as a profession, let us move to the historical development of teaching as a profession. If you remember from the pre-activity you answered earlier, here is the actual chronological order of teaching as a profession in the Philippines. Were you able to get some of these correctly? I'm sure you did. Anyway, let us elaborate more on each one. Of course, the first one is the pre-colonial period. During the pre-colonial period, there was no established formal schooling in the country. Thus, there was no formal preparation for teachers as well. The parents and tribal leaders served as teachers at home and in the community. Knowledge and skills about how to survive and how to become a productive member of the community were passed down both written and orally in primitive Philippine languages, as well as through imitations. There were also specialized knowledge passed down through something that would resemble internship or apprenticeship, such as the works of babaylans. This changed during the Spanish period. Remember, the Spanish colonialism of the Philippines was 300 years long. However, the specific growths in terms of education were made visible specifically by virtue of the Educational Decree of 1863. The Educational Decree of 1863 established the free public school system, in which there was one school for boys and another school for girls in every municipality, with the Spanish missionaries initially serving as the teachers. Educational Decree of 1863 also established a normal school run by Jesuits to educate male teachers. It is important to note that normal schools for women were not established until 1875. Let's try to explore this claim by Paz Ramos, who was once a dean of the College of Education at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She stated that the foundations of teacher education in the Philippines were laid by the Spanish government beginning in 1765, when King Charles of Spain issued a royal decree requiring each village to have a maestro. In 772, another decree was announced specifying the qualifications for maestros or teachers. But the Educational Decree of 1863 is most important since it was the specific attempt to systematize and update the education of the Filipino teachers. In line with history, by the end of the Spanish era, schools were closed for a time by Emilio Aguinaldo's government. So there was no update of the teacher preparation that took place. After the Spaniards came the Americans. During the American regime, it is well known that the American soldiers served as the first teachers of the Filipinos in that specific time. In 1901, the Philippine Commission enacted into law Education Act 74, which created the Department of Public Instruction and laid the foundations of the public school system. Education Act 74 also offered free primary education for Filipinos. Due to the effects of Education Act 74 in the public school system, a shortage of teachers in the Philippines became a glaring issue. This is why the Philippine Commission authorized the Secretary of Public Instruction to bring to the Philippines about 600 teachers from the USA, who are most popularly known now as the Thomasites, because they were transported via the United States Army Transport Thomas. The urgent need for teachers was not resolved immediately because of that, which is why the Americans gave bright Filipino students an opportunity to take up higher education in American colleges and universities. This is financed by the Philippine government, and these Filipinos were called pensionados. Aside from the aforementioned importance of the Education Act 74 of 1901 in the Philippine education system, it also has the following important contributions to the teacher preparation in the Philippines. It established the Philippine Normal School in Manila, which is an institution for the training of teachers, in 1901. Initially, the Philippine Normal School offered a 2-year general secondary education program, but in 1928, it became a junior college offering a 2-year program to graduates of secondary school. Moreover, in 1949, Philippine Normal School was renamed as Philippine Normal College and started offering a 4-year bachelor's degree in elementary education. Other 4-year education courses followed after. Now, in the relatively more present times of the Republic of the Philippines, the following milestones are important to note in the history of the teaching profession. During the Fourth Republic of the Philippines, specifically in the year 1976, Presidential Decree 1006, also known as the Decree Professionalizing Teaching, formally professionalized teachers and recognized teaching as a profession. This was enacted to boost the morale of teachers, to emphasize the vital role of teachers in nation building, and to ensure that qualitative requirements are not overlooked in teacher recruitment. At this period in time, board examinations for teachers were given by the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Education and Culture, wherein board passers receive a professional teacher's certificate. During the Fifth Republic of the Philippines, specifically in the year 1994, Republic Act 7836, also known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994, was passed to promote quality education by proper supervision and regulation of the licensure examination and professionalization of the practice of the teaching profession. This placed teaching as a profession at par with other professions. And that completes our first lesson in EDUC 55, the teaching profession, focusing on teaching as a profession. Let us go back to the graphic organizers presented at the start of this lesson. Pause this video for a minute and try to answer these graphic organizers again as a post-activity to measure your mastery of this lesson. Again, pause this video for a minute to answer this. Very good. I'm sure you did well. For your learning activity for this lesson, it will be a reflection activity, but you will be required to do that at the end of our next lesson. So, technically, yes, the scope of learning activity 2 is a combination of topics 1 and 2. Here is the book that I used as a main reference for this discussion. That would be all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.